Good morning. I was going to say morning, 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 and then I decided not to. So, good morning. I'm Angie Rose with Angie Rose Health Coaching, and I am here today with your Monday Mojo for your weekly motivation to get you going for the week and really kick you off in a positive manner with your health, wellness, and your lifestyle. So, I am going to talk to you about something today that I think every single person struggles with, sometimes more often than not, and sometimes in a bigger way than others. But I want to talk with you today about excuses, making excuses, finding reasons to not do what you know you need to be doing. As I've told you guys in the past, I have so many people who tell me I know exactly what I need to be doing and I am just not doing it. Or I just need to do it, but you don't, right? Like that's the issue is you guys don't actually follow through and do it. So I'm going to give you some keys today, three top keys to help you overcome your excuses. Okay. So even though I know that in the moment it seems very insignificant, as in, well, I'm just not going to do it today. I'll start tomorrow. Most of us have said that. Or one more meal out isn't that big of a deal, or one more drink, or whatever, right? I'm going to stop a little early. I'm going to cut my exercise short. I don't know what your excuses are that are stopping you from living your best life and feeling your best, but I can promise you every one of us have one or many. So maybe this will trigger some things for you as we're walking through this and talking about this to help you really get focused on getting healthy and living better. Okay. So, I've got three techniques for you today to stop excuses from getting in your way, but you have to be willing to catch them and be aware of what they are. So if you're not watching this live, then I recommend pause the video in just a couple minutes. And I want you to write down what your excuses are that are actually affecting you from doing what you know you should be doing. Okay. So let's go through a couple, or at least one option. Let's start with this. So let's say you have worked hard and long. Maybe you had to go in early today, and you're at the end of your day. You're hopping in your car because you're ready to go home. You sit down in that seat, and I've done this where I sit down and I just breathe out real heavy and think, I'm exhausted, right? I'm exhausted. What are we supposed to be cooking for dinner? We start ticking off the things in our brain that we need to do when we get home, and we realize I am just too tired. Okay. Or maybe the weather is too cold, or it's too hot, or it's too nice, or it's too cruddy. So I just don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like cooking dinner. I want to go home and just put my sweatpants on, which we're not quite there yet. It's coming, unfortunately. But maybe you're too hungry because you skipped your snack in the afternoon, which I tell you guys never to do that. Maybe you have too much other stuff to do and you've got to run errands, or you've got to run kids to sports, or you have games. Maybe you're just too stressed out. Sometimes that's the reason. Like, I don't even want to have to think about it. I just got too much on my mind. Maybe you really just want to veg and you want to get on Netflix or get on TikTok or whatever it is that you do, etc., etc., etc. But you guys know that you should be cooking dinner. If you've listened to me long enough, you know you're better off eating at home versus just driving through the drive-through or calling for takeout or grabbing that bowl of cereal that really probably is not nutritious and it's probably like Captain Crunch or something. Okay. So not a good choice, guys. Not a good choice. But a lot of times, guys, this is one of the things that does end up happening where we're very tempted to give in and just say, it's not that big of a deal. It's just only one night. So one night leads into two nights lead into more. And before you know, more often than not, you're eating out, you're grazing, you're snacking, you're doing the stuff that is not helping you feel your best, sleep your best, exercise your best, and keep that waistline where you want it, right? I mean, that's the reality of it. So sometimes by the end of the day, Our biggest reasoning is it's not easy, it's too much work, and I just want to do something quick. And, guys, the reality of this is, I have to be honest with you. I even have struggled with this, and there's some times that I do. I will be honest, yesterday I was gone all day helping with something at our church. Got home by 5 o'clock, literally was gone all day. Had steaks set out to grill. And I am just as guilty because I told my husband we're going to order Jimmy John's because I am exhausted. He was outside working in the yard all day doing some stuff. He was exhausted, but I still chose to order something healthy. Okay. But that doesn't happen very often in my house. I'm being a little bit vulnerable and sharing that with you so I can say I understand this thought process. But the problem is, it's not when it happens once in a while, because it's going to happen once in a while. The problem is once in a while then becomes a habit and you guys are doing it all the time. And then we end up making very poor choices, right? Okay. Because we're feeding emotion and we're not necessarily feeding, and we're feeding, I don't know, I'll just say we're feeding emotion a lot of times. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you about today is 3 excuse busting techniques to help you honestly take control over that stinking thinking, if you will. That's what we're going to call it, because it does become stinking thinking when we're doing it more often than not, right? Okay, so the number 1 technique I want to talk to you about is taking your power back. Okay, so it says I wrote this down, it takes 10 seconds. 10 seconds to take your power back, believe it or not, because it's a thought that happens, recognition that you have to give it, and then you have the opportunity to change the thought or to run with it. So I want you to be able to start taking your power back and remember that you control your actions, not the fleeting thoughts, whims, or emotions that are playing out in our brain. Okay, so the choices that you make and the actions you take today play a direct role in your tomorrow, your next month, your next 6 months, because what happens is one time turns into more and more and more. And before you know it, guys, we end up doing the wrong thing more often than not. So I want you to think about this, is as soon as the thought pops in your head, man, I am so tired, I do not want to cook tonight. I have learned for myself, I take control of that action and say, you know what? It's going to take you 15 minutes to cook that. Once you get in that habit of catching that thought and talking to yourself and actually following through, I will be honest with you, most of the time, once I sit down, I'm totally fine and I'm glad that I cooked it and it tastes great. Okay? It's just that initial push of getting through it and following through and making sure you're doing the right thing because it's the right thing. That's it. Cook the meal. That's all I'm going to say. But maybe it's not even the meal. Maybe it's the workout. Maybe it's the hitting the snooze button. Maybe it's fill in the blank. That's just the one thing I can tell you that ends up happening a lot of times. Okay. So the number 2 technique I want to talk to you about is what's really driving those excuses. Sometimes it really is, I'm tired. Mine really was yesterday, I'm tired. So the steaks got put back in the fridge. Those will be cooked tonight. We'll take care of those tonight, right? That's the beauty of it. Because I love me a good steak with a baked potato and a salad. I ain't gonna lie. But sometimes it really isn't just, I'm tired, or I have something else going on. Sometimes it's because of stinking thinking, which really means beliefs. What are you believing about what you're getting ready to do or trying to do that maybe is affected by your past choices, your past failures, your past fill in the blank? So I wrote down, so you might think that it's only a matter of time till you're just going to fail anyway. So what's the point? That maybe you're not going to really get results anyway. Because how many times have I done this and every time I quit? And every time I fail. Or deep down, you think maybe, why am I even bothering doing this again? How many times do I have to do this and go around the same mountain over and over and over again in order to get to your goal or just to feel better, right? A lot of times there are things inside of us that have created that trigger that creates that thought process that in turn, we then follow with action, which is what's the point? I'm probably going to fail anyways. Right? So be very aware to call out your thinking and know why you're really saying or making the excuse that you're making. Because if you can get past the superficial fluff of it and really get into the depths of it, you can go after what's actually happening and change it. Okay? So progress is progress, no matter how slow. And I have learned in my life, this is what I tell myself, is that I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing, because the right thing ends up creating habits and creating, change in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it might not always be the weight loss change immediately, but there are a lot of times, guys, it's the mindset change. It's the physical change in how your body feels, and endurance, and being able to exercise more and do more things and feel more energy and get off the floor without having to huff and puff, or being able to even bend over and tie your shoes. Okay. Or having to slam yourself into them skinny jeans, whatever it may be. There are shifts and changes that happen, but you have to understand why you're making the choices and the excuses that you're making and own them, and then do something about it. So that's technique number 2. Technique number 3 is get support. All right. So the biggest thing, guys, whether it's a friend, a family member, a coach like me, I'm here for you. I want to work with you. This is what I deal with all day long, every single day. I get it, been there, done it, and I live it. So I understand it. Okay. And it's a little bit different when you have somebody else on the outside looking in, that you give permission to call you out a little bit, because you're accountable to them, and because it gives you the freedom to be a little more honest. Okay. So I want you to think about this is, really, I know that how many times you guys tell me, like, I know exactly what to do. I don't know why I'm paying you. Well, because you're not doing it, and because you're not holding yourself accountable, or you're not picking the right person. When you're picking your best friend to hold you accountable, and your best friend is also your food hinderer because they're the person you go have margaritas and have chips and salsa with on a Friday night or whatever. I don't know. Is it like, I don't know, maybe Thursday margarita day or something? Taco Tuesday. I don't know what you guys all do. But a lot of times it's really easy when it's somebody closer to us to slip, to fall, and to make excuses for why it's okay. Because then the other person that's doing it with you is right there to say, oh, it's not that big of a deal, right? Okay, guys. So I just really want you thinking about whoever your accountability partner is really needs to be someone that is going to have permission to speak into your life and to call you out. Years ago, when I first started this, I'd tell my husband, I'd say, hey, if you see me doing blah, 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 whatever that may be, just say something to me. Well, the husband that he is and the man that he is loves me and wants to help me. And that was not smart. I realized, because he is the person that I'm like, shut up. I'm going to do what I want. Don't tell me what to do. Right? Like, yes, I probably actually said it just like that. I'm going to be honest. Gotten a lot better over the years, because I realize he is not the person that should be holding me accountable. Okay? Because that creates some division. That creates some animosity. That can create some whatever, resentment, bitterness, judgment. I don't know what it is, but you want somebody in your life as an accountability partner who can meet you where you're at and speak truth into your life without you getting offended. Okay. So I will say to you that obviously, as a health coach, this is what I do. I do offer a 1-hour free consultation for you to learn more about how I can help you do this. We do a 3-month, we do a 6-month program. My cost is $250 per month. So that is an option. But what I do works. So if you're looking for that next step, we're there. But if you are doing this on your own, then the last thing I want to say to you today is, remember that you are actually much stronger than your excuses. Your excuses do not have to be what holds you back. At some point, guys, you make the decision that I can have every excuse in the book, but I do what's right because it's the right thing, and it takes me to the next best thing. Health, wellness, lifestyle. All right. Well, I hope that this helps you out a little bit and motivates you and gives you a little mojo for the week to stop making excuses and move forward with what your dreams are and what your desires are when it comes to your health and wellness. Have an amazing week. We'll talk to you soon.